We're going to look at some examples of plotting linear equations. Here is our first example. Y equals 2/3 x plus 5. And I'm choosing some with fractions in it so that I can show you how to keep your life pretty easy. What I want to do in order to plot this linear equation is to come up with a solution. There are infinitely many of these solutions, and a solution is equal to a point, or an x-y pair, so two numbers, a number for x and a number for y, that, if you plug it into your equation, makes the equation true. So we get to pick any pair of points, x and y, that make this equation true. In order to do that then, we're going to keep our life pretty simple and pick some really nice numbers. And I'm going to start with 0, because if I let x be 0, this is 2/3 times x plus 5. I don't even need to deal with this term here that has the fraction in it. So I'm going to start by letting x equal 0. Over here off to the side, I'll do my scratch work. From my equation, it says y equals 2/3 times x, but x is 0, plus 5. So let's see if we do the math here. 2/3 times 0 is 0, and we end up with y equals 5. So there's our first ordered pair. The pair 0, 5 makes this equation true. 0 for x and 5 for y. Let's find a second one. Now there's a lot of things that we can pick for x here. We can pick 1 or 7 or -5, but what I really want to do is to pick a number for x that will cancel with this 3. So the natural choice is to choose 3. So let's choose 3. When I put 3 in to my equation, I have y equals 2/3 times 3. Put that over 1 so you can keep everything straight, plus 5. Now I chose that because these 3's cancel. 3 divided by 3 is 1, and I end up with 2 over 1, or just 2 plus 5. Here's my second point. So my second point is 3, 7. Let's plot it. Now I know it's hard to see these over here, but each of the grids are just at 1 unit away. So when I plot 0, 5, I have 0 for x. So 0 for x is right here in the middle. And then I've got 5 for y. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is right here. My second one was at 3. So 3 for x, 1, 2, 3, and then 7 for y. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I need to go just up 1 above my grid to get to 7. I really just need 2 points to make a line. If you wanted to pick up a third point just to make sure you did your math right, you certainly could, but those 2 points give me my line. Okay, so there's the first example. Let's do another example with a fraction in it. So for another example, let's do 2y plus 3/5 x equals 1. So I want to do the same thing here. I want to find solutions because I want to find at least 2 points. So I need 2 points, or 2 solutions. To find solutions, I'm going to go ahead and pick some values, either for x or for y, and then find out what that makes the other coordinate be. Well, let's start by getting rid of the 3/5. Since I can pick anything for x, let's start with 0. So I'm going to start with 0. When I put that in, I get 2y plus 3/5 times 0 equals 1. That cancels. 2y equals 1. Divide both sides by 2. And y equals 1/2. So there's 1 point. So when x was 0, y is 1/2. We need a second point, though. To find a second point, I could let y be 0 here, but that's going to leave me with a fraction, which would be fine, but I'm going to use that trick that we used last time, and I'm going to let x be the same as the denominator. That's going to allow me to cancel that off. So let's let x be 5. If I let x be 5, I'll do my work down here. My equation says 2y plus 3/5 times x, which is 5, make that over 1, equals 1. Cancel your 5's, and we have 2y plus 3 over 1, or 3, equals 1. Now I'm solving. I need y's on one side, numbers on the other, so this 3 needs to move. Just enough room to write minus 3 on both sides. I'm going to subtract it to move it to the other side. So we have 2y equals 1 minus 3, which is negative 2. Divide both sides by 2. And y equals negative 1. Negative 1 goes right here. And that point says when x is 5, so there it is, I let x be 5, I solved it, and that forced y to be negative 1. Okay, now I've got 2 points to plot. Let's go ahead and use this coordinate system since it's right next to our work. And we're going to first plot 0, 1/2. Well, here's our point. 0, 1/2. Okay, 0 for x, and then 1/2 in the y direction, which is right there. And our second point is 5, negative 1. So 5 in the x direction, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then down 1 in the y direction. Let me grab my ruler. I just need those 2 points. You could do a third as a check. But with these 2 points, I should be able to connect the dots, and I can. And what I've done is to draw the line, which also gives me a picture of all of the solutions. So any point here that I just drew my line through is a solution for that equation. Let's do one more. Okay, so for our last example, let's take this one. Let's do 5x plus 1/4 y equals, how about 1/2? Okay, so x and y. I can let x be anything, or I can let y be anything. This time, let's try and get rid of that 1/4. So I'm going to let y be 0. Okay, so if y is 0, I have 5x plus 1/4 times 0 equals 1/2. 5x equals, that's 0, so 5x equals 1/2. I need to divide both sides by 5. What does that look like? So these cancel. X is 1/2 divided by 5, which would be 5/1. I'm going to change that into a multiplication. 1/2 times 1/5. Now I can multiply straight across, and I get 1/10. 1/10. So this says when I started with y equals 0, there it is, when I started with y equals 0, that forced x to be 1/10. Okay, let's do another one with 0. Let's let x be 0. Lots of choices here, but I'm going to let x be 0. Now watch what happens. When I let x be 0, we'll go down here. I have 5 times 0 plus 1/4 y equals 1/2. That's 0. So I have 1/4 y equals 1/2. Instead of dividing by that fraction, I like to multiply by the reciprocal. The reciprocal of 1/4 is 4/1. So I'm going to multiply the left by 4, or 4/1, and I'll do the same thing to the right. 4's cancel, 1's cancel, and I get y equals, multiply straight across, 1 times 4, 2 times 1. I get 4 divided by 2, or 2. So when we started with x being 0, we ended up with y as 2. I'm going to plot these. I'm going to draw my own coordinate system, but what I'm going to be plotting are 1/10, 0, and 0, 2. I'm going to draw my own coordinate system for this one. My numbers don't get very big. I mean, just 2 and 1/10 is tiny. So let's just have 1, 2. And then we'll do the same, 1, 2 in the y direction, -1, -2. In the x direction, -1, -2 in the y direction. Let's see, that's 1, 2, and 1, 2. Okay, so I went ahead and just gave myself my own set of axes. This is my x-axis, or my horizontal axis. This is my y-axis, or my vertical axis. See, that 0, 2 is right there. Let's plot that one first. 0 in the x direction, 2 in the y direction. So 0 in the x direction, I don't go left or right off of 0, but I will go up 2. I'm going to plot that in red. So there is 0, 2. This point, because it's where my graph touches the axis, that point is my y-intercept. Okay, that's my y-intercept. Now let's look at my other point. My other point was 1/10 for x, 0 for y. 1/10. Okay, if this is 1, I'd have to divide this into 10 increments. So 1/10 is going to be about here, 0 in the y direction, so I'm not going to go up or down. So let's say that 1/10 is right here. This point, since it's where my graph hits the x-axis, is called my x-intercept. So by choosing zeros, when I pick my x's or my y's, I end up graphing with intercepts, and it's a really nice way to go because you're going to use a 0 when you're solving. And I'm just going to connect the dots between these two lines, or these 2 points, to come up with my line. And remember that this line right here, this shows all the solutions to our equation. Every single point I just passed through. All the solutions of 5x plus 1/4 y equals 1/2.